to ask anybody to lead us, so I'll do this one. If Mr. Floyd will put that up on the screen for us, and we all will stand. All right, I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it stands, one
one
nation, under God,
which is
indivisible, with liberty
Under
and justice for all.
with
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, so tonight we need to do a roll call for attendance. Vice Chairman Bunn,
present.
Commissioner Floyd.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Speed.
here.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Pierce.
Here.
All right, and of course I am here, so welcome again tonight to our meeting. Our first item of business is the consent agenda. I hope that you all got the information that our county manager sent you regarding this. I think that was very helpful, and I commend her for that idea to better help elaborate why things are here. I think it's important that we understand the process. So the first item being the consent agenda. What is the pleasure of the board tonight?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Jones moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Speed. All those in favor, we'll go roll call vote. Vice Chairman Bunn.
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Speed. Commissioner Speed.
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce.
Yes.
And I vote yes, the ayes have it, and it is so ordered. We'll move on now to item number 2, which is public comments. This is the time that's set aside by the Board of Commissioners to allow individuals 5 minutes to address the board on issues concerning our county. Mr. Floyd, I believe we're looking for the first person on this board. Mr. Al, is he with us? Mr. Al, are you here tonight?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you would state your name, address for the benefit of the clerk, we'll yield 5 minutes to you tonight.
Thank you, sir. My name is Al Brzezinski, 6808 Riverside Glen Court, Dublin, Ohio, 43017.
All right, thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Al Brzezinski, and I'm a former chief of public affairs who served with the U.S. Army and the Veterans Health Administration. I'm currently a member of the Volunteer Franklin County Emergency Response Team. Equally important, I served alongside former Chalmers P. Wiley VA Ambulatory Care Center Chief of Staff and the current CEO of the Central Ohio Trauma System, Dr. Robert Falcone, in support of the Veterans Health Administration's Office of Emergency Management. Since the inception of the COVID-19 pandemic, I have been conducting an ongoing research study and discovered at the present moment and in the future the lack of surge capacity in healthcare, alongside other aspects of preparedness, have created a catastrophic oversight. For example, the Columbus Dispatch reported approximately $3.2 million was spent by Franklin County to treat COVID-19 patients at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the alternate care site saw 0 patients. Specifically, many reputable scientific studies and news outlets have questioned the ability of convention centers to act as alternate care sites designed by the Army Corps of Engineers to contain the spread of an infectious virus, because the facilities are not usually equipped with strict infection control measures.
Mr. Brzezinski, just for a minute, if I could interrupt you, just for a point of clarification, because I believe that there may be a little confusion. This Board of County Commissioners in Franklin County, North Carolina, is the meeting that you are speaking to tonight. And I know there's a Franklin County in Ohio. Are you aware of that?
Yes. I thought I had Ohio. My apologies to the board.
No, sir, not at all. Listen, I thank you for your service as a veteran. Thank you for your service in our military and for your passion to want to share. We're excited to be a neighbor a little far away from Ohio, but nonetheless, all Americans. So if you'd like to continue, I mean, I guess I can't really tell you can't, but I would
No.
like you to know. that
No,
you-
out of respect for the board's time, I've been on the other side of the table, so I know you guys got a busy agenda, but you know, we're all neighbors, so thank you for everything you've done. I've been through Carolina, really like the area there, so keep doing what you're doing. And again, my apologies and wish you all the best of luck.
Yes,
moving
sir.
forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Have a
Okay.
great evening.
Okay,
Take care.
bye-bye.
All right, Mr. Floyd, I'm looking for our next member on the list. Should be Robert Poole. Do you have Mr. Robert Poole?
No, I do not see Robert Poole, Mr.
All right, I
Chair.
see we have Mr. Frank Winstead teed up. So Mr. Winstead, your name, please, sir, your address. I feel like I've shared this before to you. If you would, and we yield 5 minutes to you tonight, sir.
This is Frank Winstead, 145 Victoria Court, Youngsville, North Carolina. 27596-7739-45. Franklin County has a drug problem, and it is in the Franklin County government. This problem requires local, state, and probably even a federal investigation. I guess I should be specific about which Franklin County government drug problem. I am referring to the vanishing of drugs with a street value of $3,550,000 earlier this year from the Franklin County Health Department. The WTVD investigation revealed that 142 doses of COVID-19 vaccine were classified as wasted by the Franklin County Health Department. This was the fourth largest waste of vaccine in the state as of February 18th. Of the 97 agencies reporting, most wasted less than 10 doses. So how is it that 142 doses of a free vaccine can have a street value of $3,550,000? Well, around the time all this medicine was wasted, there were media reports from Florida about people willing to pay $25,000 for a vaccine dose. Do the math, 142 times 25,000. And remember, the Franklin County Health Department used a unique location to conduct vaccinations. They used the obscure and nearly abandoned county airport. How could anybody have gotten 14 vials packed in dry ice out of there by car? Hundreds of people crowded the road and would have seen something. Law enforcement was on the scene diligently trying to control traffic. They would have noticed a suspicious car. Sky 5 even had cameras on all the car traffic jammed onto the highway. It would have taken a genius to figure out how to get a car out of there safely with illicit drugs, and then keep the drugs chilled while speeding all the way to Florida without drawing the attention of law enforcement. There was clearly too much risk for anybody smuggling by car. If there was only another way to get the drugs out of the airport. If a crime was committed, I doubt the Franklin County jury would even convict anybody. The Franklin Times has reported that 70 to 80% of Franklin County residents eligible to receive the vaccine have just said no to drugs from the Franklin County Health Department. People of Franklin County just are not concerned about the hoax-demic, nor any snake oil cure-alls. But how? How did all those doses from multiple vials get wasted? A real mystery. Have a better night. Bye-bye, y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Winstead. Mr. Floyd, you have Paula Hall, I see. Ms. Hall, can you hear me? Ms. Hall, can you hear me? Ms. Hall, if you can hear me, you need to unmute your device. Ms. Hall, can you hear me? Mr. Floyd, we're not going to be able to talk with her at the moment. Do you have any way to communicate with her? Mr. Floyd?
No, I'll let her stand by and she figures it out. I have Scott Strickland ready to talk.
All right, Mr. Strickland, can you hear me tonight?
Yes, sir, Mr. Schreiber. Scott.
Very good. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna start off. I've been talking about this radio issue for a while now. Now that it concerns me with an incident, we're gonna move up to another level. When you need help then. You don't need to have to wait. And I've got police chiefs talking to me about it right now. We done drug our feet long enough. And so with the incident that I had with a car wreck and needed assistance and they couldn't hear and they're back and forth, it's come to the level now. So now we're going to step up the game a little bit. So Mr. Boyd, you're going to be receiving some letters. So just want to let you know, we played games and now it's concerning people of the community. So I just want to let you know that that's where it's at. That's all I got to say for now. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. Ms. Hall, can you hear us now? Hall? Mr. Floyd, do you have Robert Poole?
No, sir, I do not see him available.
All right, Ms. Hall, can you hear us? Do we have a contact number for Ms. Hall that we could actually call her to make her aware that we're trying to entertain her opportunity to have public comment tonight?
1 second, I'll see if I have a phone number.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, can you hear me now? She appears to be unmuted. Now she's muted. We're just standing by here for a minute in hopes that we can make contact with her.
Okay, did it work this time?
Yes, Ms. Hall.
Yes. I've been telling you, okay, all right, we'll get right to it. You can hear me, right?
Oh, yeah, let me give you one quick direction, please. So
Okay,
I need you to state your name and your address for us, and then please proceed with what you'd like to share for up to the next 5 minutes.
Alrighty, thank you. My name is Paula Hall. My address is 285 Tant Road, Zabulon 27597. Okay, and I'm just going to read it. Otherwise, it'll just be much more concise that way. I have emailed supporting documents for detail and any unanswered questions, as this is a very brief summary of events. There are two serious unaddressed problems with animals owned by my next door neighbor. The first one is roosters being kept as close to me as if we are on a small city lot. I am here asking for a refining and perfecting of the law as it is written now, so that I can be brought into equal parity with the rest of the United States and indeed the civilized world. All over in cities, it is recognized that humans and roosters cannot dwell peacefully together. Hence, roosters are outlawed. Roosters are rightfully allowed in the countryside because there is so much land. But out of respect and dignity for others, landowners do not keep roosters close to their neighbors. It is an unwritten law. But my neighbor who owns 2 acres keeps his roosters just 120 feet from my dwelling. This is as close as the roosters would be if they were on a city lot. I am requesting correction to allowing this practice.
Did we lose Ms. Hall, Mr. Floyd? Ms. Hall, are you there? Can you hear us, Ms. Hall? Ms. Hall, are you there? Can you hear us? If you can hear us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It muted it all by itself. I don't know
Wow.
what's going on. Okay, okay. So even in the country, roosters must be kept 200 feet from a neighbor's dwelling, not 120 feet, or a quiet breed of rooster can be kept, such as a Buff Orpington or an Americana or Cochin, or one of the several others, if they're going to keep it closer than 200 feet, or if the owner has written permission from their neighbors living closer than 200 feet, a rooster can be kept. Okay, and this is a second issue altogether, but it does involve their cat. The cat is very vicious and continually attacking my neutered males on my land. My cats don't challenge this male's territory because being neutered, they run away from him and stay far away from him and his territory, and they leave no scent and they do not spray. They rarely go over to where he lives, being afraid of him. But this male cat freely comes on my land viciously, biting and attacking my cats and wounding them, so they need antibiotics to stay alive. Animal control solution is to set up a cage on the vicious.
Ms. Hall, if you can hear us, we've lost you again. Ms. Hall?
Okay, I'm back.
Ms.
It
Hall, can you
keeps-
hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Ms. Hall.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Please go ahead, Ms. Hall.
Okay, I gotta find my place again. Animal control, okay, with it. And then say my cats were challenging the other cat's territory because they were on its land. And as you know from the roosters, their land is very close to my home. Since an animal does not understand property lines, this cat considers my land its territory. As the law is currently written, if it is protecting its territory, it is free to continue to maul my cats on my land because it considers my land its territory. But I am requesting correction be made to the law, changing the basis from territory to actual harm, which is reasonable. In fact, he's even killed one of my cats, which is reasonable in order to declare an animal that attempts to kill another domestic animal. And he's also wounded my cats 8 to 10 times.
Ms. Hall, we lost you again there. Ms. Hall, can you hear us? Hello?
Yeah, okay, it keeps muting me. Okay,
That's all right.
that's
Keep
it.
going.
That's it. I said everything.
All right.
I
Well,
hope
thank
you
you.
heard it.
Yes, ma'am. I did anyway. I got both of your points and some very good notes. Thank
All
you
right,
for
and
sharing.
how do we follow up on this? How do I follow up on this?
I'd love for you to go to our website and email me that writing that you just shared. That would be very helpful to have.
Michael Shriver. I did email it to the nice lady, the admin. I mean, detail
Christine
on
King?
both of us.
Christine
Christine,
King?
I
Okay.
do have that
Yeah.
information. I'll be glad to pass it
can
along.
you? Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
You're very welcome, Ms. Hall. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Floyd, the last one I see is Mr. Robert Poole. Have you had any contact with Mr. Poole?
No, sir.
Very good. With that being said, then we will move on to item number 3 tonight on our agenda, which is an incentive request from Pals of North America. Pals of North America is considering another expansion on their Lewisburg location. And I believe we have Miss Richie Duncan here tonight to share with us some more information regarding that. Miss Duncan, can you hear us? Miss Duncan?
Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can. I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
I know, and I apologize for that. I'm having some issues here this evening, so my apologies. But thank you for allowing us to present at last meeting the opportunity for the request for the incentive for Palisade. We would very much, well, we would very much request that you consider the approval of this. As you heard from Paul Robertson, the CEO, they are actively hiring, and with the support of this incentive, they're moving forward on a $5.2 million expansion, hiring a minimum of 20 new houses made Lewisburg in Franklin County, their North American home. And we respectfully request your approval of the incentive to continue to support House of North America. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Richie. I believe that, are you done sharing your thoughts with us tonight?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the board, tonight we've got in front of us this incentive request. Is there any discussion tonight or questions for Ms. Duncan? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve. Second.
Commissioner Pierce moved to approve. Is that Commissioner Speed on a second?
No idea.
Commissioner Day, okay. All right, so let's do a roll call vote tonight. Vice Chairman Bunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Foy?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Speed? You have to unmute, Commissioner Speed. And Commissioner Pierce?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The yeses have it, and it is so ordered. Thank you, Ms. Duncan, for your efforts in making this happen. We're excited about what they're doing there.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We really appreciate the support.
Very good. Moving on to item number 4 tonight is a resolution authorizing an upset bid process for parcel number 002262 in Engle Drive. Ms. Denton, is there anyone that's going to share this information tonight, or are we just going to proceed with the notes that are here?
The clerk can offer any additional information. Actually, I believe she received the bid. But I think the point of this is the bid was in the amount of $6,000, but the minimum bid established by the Board of Commissioners was set at $15,000. And so the request is for the board to review and make their decision.
Thank you, Ms. Denton. So what's the history of this board been when it comes to situations like this where we set a minimum bid and a bid that comes in below minimum bid is offered?
If I can offer one
Yes.
additional comment, the minimum bid amounts were based on our tax valuation. And so I don't know if Dan Williams is still listening on the call tonight, because he did have an item on the consent agenda. But again, that's based on our tax valuation. And so Dan may want to offer some additional insight into that.
Mr. Williams, I see you're with us tonight, but you're muted. There you go.
I am here and I am just coming up online.
Very good. So we're on the first item, which is the Engle Drive. The bid was $6,000. Our board's county staff established a $15,000 minimum threshold. And there was some discussion about how that $15,000 was was determined. So that's the first question we have for you. If you could share with us why it was $15,000.
Well, it was established, the 15,000 and on the subsequent one, both values were set as market value between a willing seller and a willing buyer. So these were properties that were foreclosed on during the tax foreclosure process. And as they came up as, I would hate to call it surplus real estate, because I think that's a misnomer. It's as real estate owned by the county that the county projects no future use for. Okay. So the decision of the board at that time was to, and actually our process was written basically, we'll start with setting the minimum bids at the market value as determined during the last countywide general reappraisal. Now, both of these parcels have been on our website, available for sale at these minimum bid prices for in excess of 9, 10, maybe more, close to a year at this point. There were several other parcels, I want to say 5 other parcels, that have all gone to bid and have subsequently sold and have been closed. So at this time, the board has no history with regards to having a county-owned property for sale on the website and with a minimum bid posted and subsequently receiving a bid of less than the requested minimum bid. So there is no history of this because it's a brand new process for the county. So we are breaking ground, if you will.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ford.
You said you have done 5 other properties. Did you get your minimum bid on those other properties?
Yes, sir.
You did. Okay, that's what's setting these 2 apart then on tonight's agenda.
Well, also, these are the first bids that have ever come up for these 2 parcels.
So these parcels have been available for months, if not a year or more, publicly available at this minimum bid price.
Correct.
But we have not entertained or had anyone interested in placing a bid until now, and this is the result of that bid.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Is everyone clear on this at the moment? Mr. Sturgis, did you have a comment?
I did. I think out of a fairness point of view, y'all would probably have some risk accepting a bid lower than what you said you'd accept.
Right.
So I think, I mean, you can certainly lower the bid to whatever this is as the minimum bid and then rebid it. But I think you're going to get into some trouble if you start accepting bids lower than what you said you would accept, because some people wouldn't have known to put a bid in.
Correct. Thank you for that point. So tonight, our action item, it says to review bid and consider initiating the upset bid process. Mr. Williams, could you give us a very brief description of what the upset bid process is for the group tonight?
Well, the upset bid process in both of these cases would run through the clerk to the board. Typically, we're used to seeing the upset bid process run over at the clerk of court's office. In this case, it would actually run through the clerk of the board. If this bid was accepted, subsequently the county would have to post that we've accepted an upset bid. It would go into the newspaper, and obviously we'd also update the website indicating an upset bid process has started. There are minimums that those bids have to increment. I do not have that information right in front of me. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to speak this evening. But there is a minimum increment that the upset bids have to be increased in order to be considered a valid upset bid. And when a bid is made, and if the board resolves to accept this upset bid, that starts a 10-day window during which a subsequent upset bid may be made.
Correct. So basically the action before this board, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. King.
That's okay. I was just going to say, I can confirm that there has been some interest with this piece of property. I personally have received quite a few phone calls. This is just the first bid that has been brought in. So there is interest in the property, both of these parcels that are on your agenda tonight.
Okay. So I guess the question is the action that this board is being asked to take, is this action for us to accept this bid and then go into the upset bid process? Is it that, or is it for us to either accept or deny this bid in its entirety?
Well,
I'm sorry, Dan, go ahead.
So my understanding is at this point, if the board denies this bid, it goes basically back to the way the website currently has it, unless we address or the county staff brings forth a new minimum bid to be put up and advertised on the web. if they move to approve and resolve to enter the upset bid process, then you would accept the bid of $6,000 on the first parcel as the beginning of an upset bid process. And then we would allow the upset bid process to roll through, at the end of which it still comes back before the board for acceptance of the final bid. So at any time, the board can stop the bid process. Based on the information provided by our county attorney, my recommendation would be to decline accepting the bid at 6,000 or at 5,500, as it is below the advertised minimum bid price, and then allow county staff to come back with a better minimum bid, understanding that the properties have been at the 15,000 and 22,500 respectively on the website.
All right. Does anyone, member of the board, have a question tonight for Dan or whoever may be here? Is everyone clear on what's being asked?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Pierce.
unless someone does have a question, I would move that we deny that bid and move forward with the county staff reassessing the minimum bid.
Thank you, Commissioner Pierce. Second by Commissioner Bunn. Any further discussion tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Vice Chairman Bunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Foy,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Speed,
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The yeses have it, and it is so ordered. We're moving
Mr.
on then.
Chairman,
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
could remind me who made the second to that vote. I missed that.
Vice Chairman Bunn was second,
Okay.
Commissioner Pierce the first.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5 then, which is a resolution authorizing the upset bid for parcel number 002595 on Engle Drive. The board has received a bid from Lucas Land Company LLC for parcel 002595 on Engle Drive in the amount of $5,500. The minimum bid established by county staff for this parcel was set at $22,500. The board is asked to review the bid and consider initiating the upset bid process. Discussion? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would move that we deny that bid and also allow county staff to reassess the minimum bid.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bunn. All right, we'll do a roll call vote then tonight. Vice Chairman Bunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Foy,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Speed,
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The yeses have it, and it is so ordered. Thank you for that, Mr. Williams, and for staff for filling us in on information there. All right, item number 6 tonight is inmate food service contract bid award. And I believe Ms. Holtzman is here with us tonight. Ms. Holtzman, welcome.
Hi, I hope y'all are doing well.
Yes, ma'am, doing well. Please proceed with sharing this information with us.
Can I give 1 second to make sure, is Ms. Jones on, Coy?
I did not see her in attendance.
Okay, thank you. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay. The current contract that we have for our food service is with Trinity Services Group, and it will expire on July 1st of 2021. Trinity was awarded the original contract in July 2008, and then they were chosen again in July of 2014. Our timeline for events for this contract was, we requested for bids, was posted on November the 5th, 2020. We had a pre-bid conference and site visit on November the 12th of 2020. And then the bids were submitted December 2nd, 2020 by 2 p.m. Franklin County received 3 bids that were evaluated. Trinity Services Group, the current vendor, was not considered responsive and responsible due to quality issues under the current contract. Summit was not considered responsive and responsible based on review of the bids submitted. and Kimball's Food by Design Incorporated, doing business as Skillet Kitchen, was determined to be the most responsive and responsible bidder. Skillet Kitchen, we currently use Skillet's parent company, Kimball's Food, for our commissary meals at the detention center and have gotten great customer service and no complaints. Skillet Kitchen uses the same software and hardware that operates our current commissary services. Skillet Kitchen has great reviews and references. A Nash County Detention Center and Person County Detention Center are both current clients of Skillet Kitchen. And Skillet provides quality food, not mechanically separated by products and cheaply processed bulk foods. The detention center serves approximately 534 meals a day for inmates, and the senior center will be serving approximately 150 meals per day for 5 days a week for the senior citizens. This is including their Meals on Wheels program and the meals served at the senior center itself. And there is no remodeling or upfit of the kitchen or equipment needed at the detention center at this time. This is a list of the inmate food pricing that is done in tiers based on the more inmates we have, the cheaper the price per tray is. The detention center will experience an increase of annually of $113,907 or $9,492.25 a month, based on an average of 178 inmates served per day, 3 times a day. Again, that's an average. Their inmate fluctuates. The senior center pricing, the senior meals are priced at $4.35 per meal. The county will provide transportation of the meals from the detention center to the senior center. This is an increase of 0.273 cents per meal from the current supplier. And if the senior center serves 150 meals per day for 5 days a week, the annual amount spent would be $169,650. The Franklin County Sheriff's Department and the county staff recommend awarding the bid to Kimball's Food Service by Design, and it would be a 3-year contract with Kimball's. Are there any questions?
Any questions tonight from the board? Hearing no questions, what is the pleasure of the board tonight?
Move for approval.
All right, Commissioner Speeds moved for approval. Second was where? Was there a second? Yep, Commissioner Jones, second. All right, thank you for that, sir. All right, let's go to a roll call vote then. Vice Chairman Bond?
Yes.
Foy?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Speed?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so the yeses have it, and it is so ordered. Thank you, Ms. Holtzman, for that presentation tonight.
And I vote yes.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Pierce. Thank you for
I
that.
vote yes.
I wrote your name down, but I didn't call it out. I apologize greatly, but thank you. All right. Our next item tonight is number 7, Animal Control Update and Ordinance Revisions. We have Ms. Lynn Bowman here tonight to share some of the work that they've been doing per the request that we've had here on this board. And so I'm going to ask Ms. Bowman, and I'm not sure if our sheriff is going to be with us tonight, Ms. Denton, but whoever needs to proceed. Oh, there he is. Sheriff is in the back. All right. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I saw Chief Wright, so I didn't see Sheriff. So there you go. All right. Well, whoever's going to start, please proceed.
Bear with me, I'm a little technically challenged. Is my screen sharing?
Yes, ma'am. I can see it. And who do we have the privilege of speaking with tonight? Because it's not Mr. Chief Terry Wright.
No, I'm Director Lynn Bowling.
Very good. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, you too. I do appreciate y'all letting us present tonight and considering our ordinance revisal proposal. So this is our slide of Franklin County Animal Services, just to enlighten you on a little bit of things we do in animal services. One of our proposals is to transition our name from animal control to animal services. Our mission as animal services is to provide more services and resources to our community with the goal of keeping more animals in homes and out of the animal shelter. Basic duties as animal control include rabies control, dangerous dogs, animal cruelty, stray and nuisance animals, and animal management. Over the past 6 years, animal control has provided Franklin County citizens with programs such as educational programs, spay neutering of shelter animals available for adoption, community outreach for Franklin County families in need, providing residents with resources and referrals to programs for services in our community, trap, neuter, vaccinate, release of feral cats maintained by Franklin County residents, and adoption events both off-site and at the animal shelter. Our animal services officers' duties and responsibilities are to enforce state and local laws, capture and impound dangerous or stray animals, investigating cases of animal cruelty, abuse, and neglect, control the spread of rabies by vaccinations and quarantines, investigate animal bites and oversee animal bite quarantines, record keeping and report case reports. A few improvements and upgrades of our animal services officers are they now have laptops in their trucks that allow them access to our software database in the field. This aids them in finding and contacting owners of animals before the animal is brought into the shelter. It also gives them access to past problems and violations when investigating a complaint in the field. Also, each animal control officer or animal services officer has microchip scanners in their trucks. This way, the animals that are picked up can be scanned for microchips in the field and possibly returned to their owners before being brought into the shelter. These scanners were purchased through a grant from Triad Foundation. And of course, by the pictures you see at the bottom of this slide, we have to get creative with capture techniques. This is a dog that took us quite a while to outsmart, but in the end, we did capture her. To move on to some of the programs, over the past 6 years, we've done some educational programs, including reading programs with Franklin County Libraries, after-school programs with Franklin County Elementary Schools, Girl Scout groups, post office and trainings for dog bite prevention for postal workers, and community outreach with spay and neuter resources and rabies vaccination clinic information. We also use volunteers, and volunteers help social enrichment for shelter animals. They help clean the shelters, the kennels, dishes, laundry, and anything else we need. They also collect donated items, network animals, the shelter animals on Facebook and social media, assist in adoption events and community outreach. Speaking of community outreach, we are targeting the needs of our community directly in the areas where they are critical, the needs are critical. Working with local law enforcement to target areas in need. Monthly rabies vaccination clinics for those pets otherwise would never see a vet. Rabies vaccination clinics are required to be held at least once a year. We strive for once a month. We provide these clinics in conjunction with Dr. Goldman at Tar River Animal Hospital in order to offer 3-year rabies vaccinations and additional vaccines for dogs and cats. Otherwise, a 1-year rabies vaccination is all animal services would legally be allowed to offer the public. We aid in making connections between community members and local rescues to rehome their pets, and we help make community resources accessible by distributing information directly into the hands of those in need. Our animal shelter spay neuter statistics. These are the number of animals that we have spay and neutered from the shelter that were available for adoption in our shelter. All of these were made possible by public donations and grants. rescue partnerships. These are a few of the rescues that we partner with. Rescues pull many animals that we would otherwise not be able to adopt out due to health or temperament issues. We also contact rescues when our animal shelter reaches capacity. All rescue partners must go through an approval process before being able to pull from our shelter. Adoption events. These, every year we do a Christmas adoption event. They include pictures with Santa, a donation tree, and adoption incentives. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we were not able to do this in 2020. More adoption events. Oh, I wanted to work, and it didn't. More about adoption events is Clear the Shelters. Clear the Shelters is a national event that we have participated in for the past 3 years. In 2018, we adopted out 16 dogs and 38 cats. In 2019, 18 dogs and 37 cats were adopted. And in 2020, it was a month-long event, and we promoted donations for the animal shelter, animals in need. We collected $1,901.92 of donations in August of 2020. Animal shelter statistics. I do want to note on this slide, it's a pretty self-explanatory slide, but in 2015, from January until June, all animals that were rescued and adopted were counted as adopted. At that time, we did not have a rescue avenue, and rescues paid the adoption fee. So from 2015, July 2015 on, these are current statistics. More statistics, returning to owner and euthanized. We strive to try to get the stray animals that we are asked to come pick up back to their rightful owner. Our statistics are showing our efforts are paying off, and our euthanasia rates are trending downward. To give you an idea of a typical day inside the animal shelter, every animal that comes in goes through an animal intake process. This averages about 20 minutes per animal. These animals have to be impounded. An animal at record needs to be created in our database. They are checked for identification, evaluated health and temperament. We take pictures, we weigh them, we treat any wounds or address any medical needs that we see, vaccinate and deworm, assign them a kennel, feed and water them, and then we go back and document everything we just found. For the animals already in our shelter, it takes about 15 minutes per short-term animal and 30 minutes per long-term animal for daily care. This is feed and water. Any adults in there have to be fed one time. Anything old needs to be fed twice a day. The kennels get cleaned twice a day. Daily evaluations of health and temperament, daily medications and vaccines, daily out of the cage enrichment for our long-term animals, and documentation of all actions in the database. Animal dispositions, we average about 20 minutes per animal, whether they are being adopted, rescued, redeemed by their owner, or euthanized. These do not include other duties as far as laundry, dishes, inventory, and organizing the shelter on a daily basis. So our average day at the shelter broke down to average 6 animals coming in, 50 short-term animals, 20 long-term animals, and 6 animals going out. Total 26.5 man hours to tend the shelter on a daily basis. This is a diagram of our current animal controls or animal services staff. It includes me, the director, 1 admin support specialist, which if you've ever called the shelter, you've spoken with Ruth. She answers the phone, dispatches the officers, and does many other tasks. We have 5 animal control officers, and then we have 3 animal care technicians that work in the shelter. that is the end of my presentation. I'll move on to our proposed ordinance revisal and outline a few of the things that we have addressed in our proposed revisal. We would like to change our name from animal control to animal services. We would like to amend to include the animal services director shall be appointed by the Franklin County Sheriff. That would be found on page 6. We would like to remove a few outdated ordinances such as humane destruction by carbon monoxide gas chamber on page 3. Spay neuter deposit on page 21 and 22. To my knowledge, this deposit has not been collected since around 2012. And then on page 22, pertaining to the redemption or adoption of unvaccinated animals, employees are now certified rabies vaccinators and animals are vaccinated before leaving the shelter. We would also like to propose the addition of definitions to include shelter, seized, confiscated, and impounded. We would like to add shelter on page 9, section 1-6B as a requirement to be provided to an animal. We would like to add a requirement for municipalities to pay board and vet fees for animals seized by the municipality and placed in the protective custody of the animal shelter. You can find that on page 8. We would like to add an animal restraint ordinance that could be found on page 10. We would like to add a found animal ordinance on page 11. This would require people who find stray animals and do not wish to turn them over to the animal shelter to report the animal as found to the animal shelter. We would like to remove an animal at large violation / board fees in section 1-7 C and D on page 10. This ordinance is very unclear. Violation penalties are addressed in on page 24, and we propose that redemption fees be addressed in Article 3, impoundment, on page 20 and 21. We would also like to propose the amendment of section 2-6 to be compliant with the state law. This is the management of dogs, cats, and ferrets exposed to rabies. And that is all I have for you tonight.
Chairman Shriver, you need to unmute your microphone.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bowman. Yeah, I had to get back to my big Zoom screen from following you and all this. So thank you for all that information tonight. It's very helpful, and there is quite a bit of it. So we're delighted that you've taken the time to do that, and I think it's important that we as commissioners take the time to really absorb that. And so it's going to be my recommendation tonight that we take this information and give it consideration in the days ahead. We get it on the calendar for our next board meeting, Ms. Denton, and then if the commissioners have any questions or would like to have a sidebar conversation with the county manager and/or the sheriff or Ms. Bowman, they can do that to get a better understanding of what is here. And if we need to do work sessions with a couple commissioners, then I want to be sure that we facilitate that too. So, let's later this week send an email polling our commissioners on what they would prefer that to look like. All right, very good. All right, well then let's move on to item number 8, which is our wastewater treatment plant project funding. Ms. Denton, as lead on this.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman Shriver. And thank you, commissioners, for allowing time on the agenda tonight to discuss this topic. Excuse me, Franklin County's wastewater treatment plant is a vital part of the county's public utilities infrastructure. And the issue before you tonight, and we've got some experts that are going to join us in just a minute to talk in detail about it, but the issue before you tonight is indicative of staff's commitment to ensuring that the wastewater treatment plant functions at its optimal productivity, available to consistently serve our customers. And the process for this work, this bid, this opportunity before us tonight began in 2018. And so there's been a lot of economic change since that time, but the need for the upgrades has only increased due to the county's growth and the addition of customers to this system. And so Chris Doherty, our Public Utilities Director, and Adam Kiker with LKC Engineering, and of course, LKC Engineering is our engineer of record for public utilities, are here tonight to provide the details on this very vital request for infrastructure improvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Denton. Give me a moment while I start sharing my screen, but with me tonight is, as Ms. Denton mentioned, is Adam Kiker and also Logan Parsons. They're both with LKC Engineering. And at this time, I will turn it over to Adam for him to start on our presentation.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. If I may, real fast, since I have not been on the call, can you all just nod your head and make sure, or at least Mr. Chairman and Kim, that you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. Chris and I have some information for you, and then some discussion and request at the end. We wanted to give you a very brief refresher of what we're trying to accomplish with this project. It's rehabilitative in nature. So the two big things that we are doing is addressing significant processes and pieces of equipment that have significant age on them and that are at risk of either non-compliance or, at worst case, failure. And then through the process, we're bringing the plant up to modern standards for not just process treatment, but for controls and the electrical, so that Chris's team and his operations staff can operate the plant to its fullest potential. So, as I mentioned, there are two main processes that we're touching. One is an aeration tank, another is the digester. Both of those are steel tanks, the original construction. In fact, on the left side of the picture, as Chris is circling, is the original 1989 treatment plant. And then just to the right of that, Chris, if you can circle that, that'd be great, is the 1994 addition. Both of those tanks are steel. They are in disrepair. They are at risk of, as I mentioned, non-compliance at best, failure at worst. And the plan is to, in sequence, to demolish those tanks and rebuild concrete tanks in similar locations that will, and then there's some process changes we're going to do as we rebuild them to help Chris and his staff just have a stronger case to maintain compliance. So Chris, if you would, next slide, please. So where we are in the process, you as a board authorized this project. I think it was at the end of 2018. It is funded through the Clean Water State Revolving Funds. No, actually, excuse me. It's funded through state funds. No, Logan, this is Clean Water, isn't it? Forgive me. It's funded through the State Division of Water Infrastructure. I forget which pot the actual dollars are coming from. We opened bids in February. You can see the results here. All three of these bidders are very capable. It is worth noting that State Utilities is the contractor that built the 2004 expansion at your plant. Sorry, Chris, there we go. So as you'll see in a few minutes, the recommendation of the group was to establish a pathway to go forward with State Utilities. The reason that we have a presentation and the resolutions before you tonight, Mr. Chairman, we are significantly over budget. The budget for construction was about $6.5 million. So as you can see, we exceeded that significantly. Happy to go into more detail if you would like. I don't want to take too much time out of respect. I know you have a busy agenda. But Chris, if you would go to the next slide. And since we were so far over budget, we worked with your team to have some high level discussion of, is this the right path forward? And let's make sure we are looking this with a broad perspective. Since your utility is growing, since your utility is going to be changing over the next 5 and 10 years and beyond, let's make sure that these dollars that we're planning to spend is the appropriate investment. And as we regrouped and looked at this again with a broader perspective, us and your team, we feel confident this is the right pathway forward. This project and the capital investment of this project will remain a vital and important holistic part of your wastewater plant utility for as long as far into the future as is appropriate to evaluate. The dollars that are recommending and your staff is recommending that we commit to will be used as this plant is expanded and changes in the future to address your growing needs. So these are dollars well spent. We feel like we have a really good project. We work closely with your team throughout the whole process. It is unfortunate we're over budget. Again, happy to go into some detail if you would like. But we do feel confident telling you that this is the right path forward, and these funds are the right investment to make at this time. So, Chris, with that, I'll turn it back over to you, and we're available for any questions.
Thank you, Adam. Therefore, tonight we are requesting the board to approve a resolution to apply for the additional funding of $3,163,000 from the Division of Water Infrastructure, and also to award the bid to state utility contractors contingent upon the additional funds being awarded by the Division of Water Infrastructure and all the appropriate approvals by the local government commission, with a special note that a notice of award to state utility contractors will not be issued until funding has been awarded by Division of Water Infrastructure and the LGC, Local Government Commission, has issued all of the appropriate approvals. With that being said, thank you for your time, Chairman and Commissioners. We stand by to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Doherty and Mr. Kiker. It's good to see you, both of you. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
any questions?
if I can interrupt you just
Yes.
one moment. Commissioner Jones is having some technical difficulty. If I could ask that IT bring him back into the meeting if possible, please.
Absolutely. Commissioner Jones, can you hear us?
You're muted, Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Jones, can you hear us now? Commissioner Jones, are you there? Mr. Chairman, you may want to proceed and just see if he can reconnect. It looks like he's there. I just, I don't hear anything now.
All right, thank you. We will go move forward with discussion from the board. Are there any questions? First of all, any questions for our team tonight that's presented this information? Anyone?
I have some questions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Floyd.
The increased price for this project, along with the original part, I mean, isn't that to be borne by the ratepayers or the users on this?
Yes.
All right, but that leads to another question. If that being true, that the rate people or the people that use the system are going to pay for it. Have you floated around what kind of impact this will have on sewer rates? It should somehow translate in the way this price has escalated. Any kind of thought on that, or?
I guess I would say, Commissioner Foy, that that is certainly part of our budgeting process as we're evaluating the public utilities budget this year. I think this was an unexpected increase in this bid in terms of the amount that it came back at. But I will point out, and this is in the agenda sheet, that the opportunity to fund this is a 20-year loan with a 0% interest rate. So again, we'll be evaluating how that will ultimately impact future operations and how we'll take care of that debt going forward.
Including the rate structure.
That's correct. Yes.
That's what's going to pay for it.
That's correct. Yes,
Right,
sir.
okay. I don't want to keep on going further and further and get the rates so high up that nobody be able to afford it. But, you know, to me, there's somewhere there's a limit, but hopefully we're not to it.
Right.
I have a question, if I may.
Yes, sir, Mr. Pierce, go ahead.
I'm curious. I'm very, very understanding of a bid process, been through many of them. I'm curious why there was that much difference in the original and the over budget. I don't quite fully understand why there's that much difference. Can someone answer that?
Ms. Denton, I'll let you direct the discussion on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Adam, you may want to jump in here and add some information. Remember in my opening comments, this project started back in 2018. And so part of that beginning of the process was to estimate the cost of the job. And also we applied originally for a loan. And so we still have that original loan that takes care of the largest portion of this. But of course, the whole process, perfect storm timing, coming together with bid opening here in early 2020 when we've had some economic impact. And I think, Adam, you may want to add some comments here about how some of the original estimates and the price increases for steel and other materials, added to that increase.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Pierce, that's a good question. So as we scoped this project and we finished our design drawings, about half of the overage we would contribute to modifications to the scope to accommodate long-term needs at the treatment facility. So the digester that we are building, and I don't want to get overly technical, the digester that we're building is not only prepping the operators to operate at the plant's current capacity, we have sized it so that it's big enough to withstand your next expansion. So there's some preparation for the future there. We've also built in processes and equipment that will allow the plant to satisfy the limits, not just at its current capacity, but at the next stage of this expansion. So that accounts for maybe half of the overage. The other part, quite frankly, is the market that we're in. As you are experiencing around you, it's a very busy construction market all across the country, especially the Triangle is no exception to that. Lumber prices and steel prices are bouncing back and forth between all-time highs and close to all-time highs. And there are some supply chain challenges relative to COVID. So all of that is wrapped up in what's causing that price, the budget overrun that we're seeing.
Okay, so based on what I'm hearing, half of it is because you incorporated other criteria into the project that was not originally considered. And is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate. The better way to look at it is we, at the design phase, as we put together the size and the type of process we're going to use, the whole team realized that there was not much of it would be appropriate to prep this structure so that you don't have to then build another one at the next phase of the expansion. That was not entirely foreseen when we scoped the project from the start, but everyone, your staff and us included, felt like it's the appropriate path forward at this time.
I understand it probably is the appropriate path forward, but I'm sorry, I just don't understand why that wasn't considered in the beginning. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Pierce, and thank you, Mr. Kiker, for your explanation. Are there any other questions tonight for the board, or from the board, I should say? I have just one out of curiosity more than anything. So our shelf life for this project, Adam, is going from the metal to the concrete. Metals basically appears to have made it maybe 30 years, and I think we got about 5 more years out of it. Maybe we could have, or we should have. What is the concrete structure? What's the shelf life on something like that?
Well-designed concrete that's poured and formed correctly, the industry standard is usually around 75 years. Although it's worth noting that we experience concrete structures that are well older than that, that are still standing strong now. So,
okay,
yeah,
very good. So we basically double our shelf life, potentially triple it potentially. If it's 25 years roughly for metal, we're tripling it. So, all right. Any final questions then from the board? All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight our action is to approve. Request is to approve the additional funding and opportunity to apply, approve resolution and award bid contingent on funding award and LGC approval. What is the pleasure of the board tonight?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
All right, there's a motion to approve by Commissioner Bunn. Is there a second? I will second that motion. So we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Bunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Foy?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones? And Commissioner Jones is frozen. Commissioner Speed?
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The yeses have it, and it is so ordered. Thank you for that. Ms. King?
Driver,
Yes, ma'am.
if I could, I'm sure the county attorney might want to make a comment here, but I did receive a text message that said that Commissioner Jones is in support of that vote. I don't know if that can count legally, but he is in support of the motion.
I would argue that it can, because he's been on the motion, he's been on the thing, he's, I think listening is just a freeze up of his
computer. Yeah, I think he's hearing most of the discussion. He's just for some reason having a hard time staying online completely.
Very good. Thank you for that. Then we will include him in the vote as a yes. All right, the yeses have it. It's so ordered. I think I took care of that already, but just to be sure and be decent in order here tonight. That was number 8. Number 9 is other business tonight. Is there any other business to come before this board tonight? Hearing none, we will go to number 10, which is our board manager and clerk's comments. This is our time set aside to allow our county board of commissioners, our county manager, and our clerk to the board to report on various activities and the board may want to discuss or have interest in. So I'll go to our clerk tonight, Ms. King.
I don't have any comments tonight. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Denton?
Yes, just a few things, Chairman. Meetings with the departments to hear budget presentations began last week. The process is going very well, and we'll be sharing additional updates as the process progresses. Open Broadband, just to comment, our update from them that we're hearing at every meeting. Again, at their White Level Tower, they have 27 residential customers, 3 commercial customers. And at their Alert Tower, they have 11 residential customers. They just added 3 more at the Alert Tower at the end of last week. Their LTE equipment is in the testing phase. And so we'll be hearing more about that. And in fact, within the next couple of meetings, Open Broadband will be with us to talk about their recommendations for the next sectors that they will be implementing in the county. So that's Open Broadband. Also, just to comment, the American Rescue Plan that was adopted by Congress last week, of course, has some predicted impacts for counties and municipalities and a number of things all across the United States. And so Franklin County is gathering information on the potential amounts that would be available to the county. There are also some expanded definitions of how the funds can be used. There's mention of water and sewer and broadband, in addition to all of the categories from the previous distribution. And so obviously this was a very large bill, has a lot of information in it. And so we are waiting for some more information to become more clear before we any updates. We want to make sure we really understand what's going on. And of course, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners is a group that helps us with that. And the North Carolina Finance Officers Association, another group. So we are seeking information and we'll have updates for that as we move forward. Just to comment too, progress is continuing at Franklin Plaza. We had this morning a construction progress meeting and we reviewed and refined a few details. Again, the project so far is on schedule for the June-July timeframe for completion. So just a few updates for the board. Be glad to answer any questions anyone might have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Denton. Any questions from the board tonight for Ms. Denton? All right, Commissioner Bunn, any comments?
I have no comments.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Foy.
The only one I'd like to comment on is the recent email I had in regards to the Tar River and the study being conducted by the Corps of Engineers in regards to flood control. And I saw the list of public hearings, which Lewisburg's on one of them, Nashville and Greenville, that I know I plan on participating in at least one of them in favor of that project, which I think would hold a lot of advantage for Franklin County if we could get something like that through some impoundment type conditions on the Tar River. And I know a lot of people downriver would probably appreciate it, especially when it comes a hurricane or torrential rains. It's like they say, the city of Kinston wouldn't be where it's at right now if not for Falls Lake water control on the Neuse. It would really change things. And I think it's be a big opportunity for Franklin County to, if we could get that, or a water supply through the impoundment of water. But anyway, I'd just like to put that out and hopefully everybody will participate in that in favor of. And thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Denton.
Chairman, if I could just clarify, thank you, Commissioner Foy. The virtual meeting for Town of Lewisburg and Franklin County is March the 22nd from 6 to 7:30.
Right, and I think some of the difference is you can't be in person at Lewisburg. I think you'd be there in person at Nashville though. If
Yes.
remember reading that way.
Yeah, there's additional locations on the press release. You
Okay,
are
all right.
correct, Commissioner Foy.
Okay.
And I'd also be curious to know what that means, because I remember us talking in great detail about this impoundment concept. And I believe in talking with engineers that we really couldn't count on that impoundment for water because it was due to that, like you talked about hurricanes and things like that, and trying to control water as it floods downriver to like places like Princeton and Kinston and places like that flood so terribly. But it wouldn't be something that we could actually use as a guaranteed every day, all day, year in, year out source of water. But it'll be interesting to learn more about that. I'm with you, Commissioner Foy. I'm looking forward to learning more, and thank you for bringing that up and pointing that out to people. So, Commissioner Jones, you have anything you'd like to share tonight? Are you with us? All right, we're moving on to Commissioner Speed.
No comments tonight.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Pierce.
Just one comment. I would like a copy, if I could, of the presentation that was given by the animal control slash animal services. I'd like a copy of that. And I'd also like to make a statement that that is all fine and well, but some of the things that I heard as far as ordinance changes, I need to look at very closely. And one other comment is that I do not feel that that would alleviate the need for an animal
Oh, no.
board, animal rights board, or whatever you want to call it.
Commissioner Pierce, are you asking for a copy of the PowerPoint from this evening?
I'm asking for a copy of the PowerPoint and a copy of the ordinance proposed changes.
Okay, all of that is within the agenda packet, and we've got that online too, if you need to pull it up from there. And it should have the marked changes in the ordinance as well.
I missed that. Okay.
Yes, sir. If you need some help pulling it up, I'll be glad to help you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Pierce, and we'll be sure that you you have that information one way or the other for sure. I have just a couple items just for the commissioners. If you all have anything that you need my help with week to week, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Ms. Denton and I do meet weekly at the beginning of the week to talk about county business. So if you have something that you need my help with or want me to work on for you, I definitely want to hear from you on that. I do want us to point out to you that we did get an email today about Commissioner London's mother's passing away and the arrangements. And so I would encourage you all to reach out to her privately in some way. I'm hoping to be able to attend Saturday. It's an open service outdoor. And so I'm thinking that's probably the safest place to be. It's at 1 o'clock at Nelson Baptist Church, I believe is the name of the church there. So just want to keep her in our thoughts and prayers and as we move through the week and what we do. So outside of that, I don't have any further comments tonight. So knowing that, I'll go to number 11, which is our closed session. The board is asked to conduct a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11, A3, attorney-client privilege communications. What is the pleasure of the board tonight?
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Question by Commissioner Bunn, a second by Commissioner Speed. We will do a roll call vote. Vice Chairman Bunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Foy?
Oh.
Commissioner Jones? Thank you, sir. Commissioner Speed?
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The yeses have it and is so ordered. If you follow your directions, we'll see you in closed session. Thank you.
Anybody hear me?
Yes, Cedric, hey there. I think we're communicating. All right, there's Coy.
I'll be here, but I'm here.
All right.
Boy, do you see the other commissioners signing in at this time?
Commissioner Shriver's, let's see who's on here. Let's see. Participants. Yeah, we got a number of participants. I think they're all out there as attendees right now.
There?
I'll be glad to get on.
All right, I know everybody's just trying to get logged back in here, so bear with us a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have all 6 of us back in this Zoom meeting. So I'm going to ask, is there a motion to come out of closed session back in open session?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Pierce, a second by Commissioner Bunn. We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Bunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Foy?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones? He's locked. Commissioner Speed?
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce?
Yes.
Gotcha, Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Pierce, you said yes to, correct?
Yes.
And I vote yes, the ayes have it, and it's so ordered. Ms. Dent, do you have something you'd like to share with us tonight regarding radios?
Yes. Public safety radio system is a high priority for the Board of Commissioners for Franklin County, and staff and the Board of Commissioners have been working with L3 Harris since January of 2020 on a number of issues related to our public safety radio system. And at this point, after much discussion with our consultants and staff and conferring with the Board of Commissioners, like to make a recommendation that the Franklin County Board of Commissioners give approval for final closeout of the L3 Harris RCC Communications Public Safety Radio System upgrade and remit final payment in the amount of $71,545 to RCC Communications. L3 Harris RCC Communications is providing 1 year of warranty coverage on upgraded equipment, January 1st of 2021 to December 31st of 2021 as a result of this recommendation.
All right, thank you, Ms. Denton. What's the pleasure of the board regarding this action? Mr. Jones, you make a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Bunn seconded. We have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Bunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Foy?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Speed?
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce?
Reluctant, yes.
And I vote yes. The yeses have it, and it's so ordered. Thank you for that. Ms. Denton, you have another item regarding our public service radio system?
Yes, thank you very much. And again, another component of keeping our system operating and moving forward is proper maintenance of the system. And therefore, the recommendation that the Franklin County Board of Commissioners give approval of the L3 Harris System Maintenance Amendment that extends the current system maintenance agreement 1 year through April 17th, 2022 at no additional cost to the county. And the agreement also provides additional pricing for future years.
All right. Any questions regarding that statement? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Speed, a second by Commissioner Jones. We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Bunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Foy?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Speed?
Yes.
Commissioner Pierce?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The yeses have it, and it is so ordered. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the final items on our agenda tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
So moved.
All right, excellent. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Of course not. All right, you all have a safe night. Thank you for your time and efforts tonight, and thank you for the hard work you do for our county daily. Take care.
All right,
See you.
thank y'all. Bye-bye.